Welcome to PrepsNet Coach Speak with Gardendale Rockets head football coach Chad Eads. Powered by Sweet Caroline's Ice Cream Shop on Fieldstown Road in Gardendale. And now your host, Aubrey Johnson.
Welcome back to the show, Coach.
Hey, thank you. Good to see you again.
Yeah, good to see you. So, tall order Friday night against Parker. Came away with the 35-7 loss. It was close for a half. Not much offense, a lot of defense that first half. Going into the locker room, you were down 7-0. Second half, a little bit different story. Why don't you take us through it?
Well, in the first half, I was pleased all night with the effort our kids played with, and and for us, that's how we're going to win a lot of games. Our kids are, we walked in the locker room after the game. I looked around and I knew I was exhausted, and I looked around at them and a lot of exhausted kids, and that's the way you should feel after a football game, and that's what I want them to feel. And in that first half, we kept, we had some things go our way. Weren't getting on the board, but we were having some long drives. We had some of the longest drives I've ever seen that didn't get points. And so having some drives, so still very positive at halftime, and feeling good about the way kids are playing, the effort they're playing with, and and then things. They're a big team, and got a lot of subs that can come in. They're a fast team, hard to get open against, and hard to create a big play against a team as athletic as them. And and things kind of got away with us, but I'm not upset with our kids at all. I'm excited about it. I hope they remember that feeling of the intensity they played with and the effort they played with.
Right, and they're going to see a lot of those players play on Saturday next year, to be honest. I mean, they've got a bunch of good college-bound players, so they held their own. They really did. So your quarterback, Deacon Dyer, he did very well. 8 for 16 for 82 yards. Got to be happy with his play.
Oh yeah, he had some runs too. He's a very tough kid. He struggled a little bit. He hasn't been able to throw much at practice with a banged up thumb, and and that's feeling a lot better. And he felt better the other night. And I thought he's the kind of kid you want leading your football team. Mentally and physically. He's still young, still learning football, but I was very pleased with his attitude on the sideline, and you can tell our kids feel good about him, and are willing to do more with him on the field.
Right.
And that's a sign of a good quarterback. A good quarterback gets other people to do more for him, to play harder and to do a little extra just by their presence on the field.
Sure. Who else did you notice that played well?
Offensively, Uriah Casey, I thought, had his best night.
I tell you what, for a young fella, he's coming a long way fast.
And I always want people to know this. He's as good a kid as he is on the field. He's equally that in our community and school. Very well respected by his teachers and his teammates. And but I think just a bright future for him. And our his teammates, who are much older than him, have a lot of confidence in him. He a lot of times a young player, you worry about fumbles a lot. He does a good job protecting the ball and doing all the things that a good running back does. And then our receivers, we've struggled a little bit in the passing game, but they're doing a great job on the edge blocking and how hard they're playing and playing unselfishly. And then on defense, Rowan Warmack keeps showing up every week. I think he had 14 tackles, solo tackles, and 5 or 6 assists.
That's a lot.
Yeah, it's a bunch. I told him he needs to ask the team where everybody else is, on Friday night. But those other guys, continue to get solid play from Josh Malone and Kamari Todd.
Right.
Marcus Hines is just doesn't stand out in the stats, but just makes a lot of plays as a nose guard and just a good steady player over and over every Friday night.
Nice. So you mentioned the thumb. It's coming along for Deacon. Any other injuries that happened as a consequence of Friday night?
Nothing that's got me concerned. A few get checked out every Friday night, and I get a late night call from the doctor, and and when I answered, he said, "I've got good news and good news." So that was the 2 that had a little banged up. He expects them to be fine, and that's always good news. You don't always get that from the team doctor.
This is true. Well, we're going to talk about your next opponent right after this message.
PrepsNet Coach Speak with Gardendale Rockets head football coach Chad Eads is proudly brought to you by Sweet Caroline's Ice Cream Shop on Fieldstown Road in Gardendale. The only thing sweeter than a win in Driver Stadium is a Hershey's ice cream treat or dirty soda from Sweet Caroline's. Go Rockets!
And we're back. Coach, you've got another region game this week at Jackson-Olin. They're coming off a bye week, so they're going to be a little fresher.
Yeah.
But they've started off 0-2. They have a brand new coach in Joe Webb. People know him from the NFL and also from UAB, but this is the first time he's had a chance to actually head coach. So he's kind of learning on the job there. Tell us about the game and what you think you're going to see.
Well, I know Coach Webb just a little bit. We've got some mutual friends, and he and I've talked some at 7-on-7s, and he actually came in at pretty late to be the head coach. So yes. I know he's trying to get things in order, and it takes a while. It takes a while to get things going. I know he will. I know of him to be a good person, and I'm sure he's a good coach. Got a lot of experience in it, and the kids will be excited to play in. And
yes,
and I think our next two opponents are coming off bye week, so everyone's going to be well rested coming to play the Rockets.
Right.
What stands out? They're athletic. I think they're athletic at wide receiver. And they're in the secondary, their athleticism shows up. And that's something that you always worry about a little bit. You worry about because you want to be able to stop them from a big play, and you want to create some big plays yourself. And when there's speed in the secondary, it's hard to create those big plays.
Yeah, got it. So you're 1-2. Jackson-Olin will be 0-2 going into this game. Both hungry for a win, but I get a feeling, Coach, you guys may come out on top on this one.
Well, I hope so. That's our plan. And of course we go to them. They always have a good atmosphere at their games. We've been down there several times in my time here. I think we had an overtime game down there one night. They do a great job of making it a good environment for not only us but for their crowd also. Always have. So our kids look forward to going there and playing, and we know it's going to be a tough opponent. Regardless of their record, those kids there there's a long history of that school.
Right.
I coached against Jackson-Olin a long time ago at Huffman High School, and there's a long history of successful football programs and successful athletes. So, so they still have that history of being good that they can always lean back on.
Well, good. Coach, that's our show.
All right.
Appreciate you coming in, and we appreciate you watching. Stay tuned again next week for another Gardendale version of Coach Speak. See you then.